I'm Mike Walker.
I'm David Patrick.
We are Dads on Books.
Dads on Books, 2 minutes later. But we are dads on books. We're addicted to books, we sit on books, and we even talk about books.
Welcome to another episode of
Dads on
Books. Hello again, and welcome to another episode
of Dads with the D or Dan's on Books.
Yes, our second non-related to us guest, because I can't talk, is Dan Yaccarino.
Hi, Dan.
Hi.
Our first guest was Dan Gutman, if you didn't know.
I just saw him last night.
Get out. That's so funny because when we interviewed him, he had just seen you the night before.
Yeah, we get together at least once a month. Like there's a group of children's book people that we all get together. Bob Stein is part of that, and R.L. Stein and a few other people. It's really wonderful to, this industry, the children's book industry, is very solitary. So any chance to get together with a few people to talk about books and things like that, usually are eager to be part of that. So, and Dan is an old friend, and he's terribly untalented, but I'm still friends with him.
Yeah, we pretended that we liked his books when we spoke to him.
You got it.
He was, as you know, he's pretty boring. So we only talked for an hour and a half.
So dull. Nothing happening.
Yeah, we just kind of sat there and stared at each other, but it made for some riveting audio, especially. It's great.
Yes, I bet.
Yeah.
Well, hey, let's get right into your books. Because, well, wait, Mike.
Actually, why don't we ask you a little bit about yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Because, well, we've been doing research a lot because that's what you do when you do this. And we've learned a lot about you, but what's something that you would want to tell the listener, viewer population about yourself?
Well, I love what I do, and I feel very grateful and fortunate to be able to create stories through books as well as animation. And I'm happier than I had been when I started. I really feel like it's a blessing, and I want to share these ideas and things like that with other people. And I'm just so grateful to be able to do that.
That's awesome. We're glad that you're able to do that too, because you've written some really fantastic books, as well as been part of some amazing TV shows as well.
Yeah. So, Dan, I have to warn you about something, though. Mike did say that, we do a lot of research. Mike does a lot of research. I like to be a clean slate kind of person. I enjoyed reading a lot of your books, not knowing much about you. And I do that on purpose. However, I did do some research, but the research was limited to your bios on the side paper of the book. So, for example, I know that you are of Italian heritage, and that's important in your latest book, Piccolo, which we both bought and read and loved. And we'll get to that in a second. But there it is.
Nope.
Okay, this is the everyone.
Woo!
Get yours.
I'll be Vanna White over here.
Yeah, Piccolo. And that's how I know that you're of Italian descent, which, given your name, Dan, is pretty clear.
It's Dan. It's very Italian.
See. So, but your Italian heritage, you mentioned, at least on my version of the book, that your family is from Sorrento, Italy.
Yes.
I have a couple questions. Where in Italy is that? And also, how far back does your, how long have you been here, and how far back does it go to Sorrento for you?
Okay. Sorrento is in southern Italy on the West Coast.
Okay.
My great-grandfather in the 1880s, early 1890s came here and settled in Manhattan. And he and his siblings lived on West 68th Street. I managed to track that down. And I've been doing a lot of research with the family because I'm hoping to apply for dual Italian citizenship. So I had actually done a lot of family history, and doing that and researching a book I did a while ago called All the Way to America, which is the story of my great-grandfather coming here as a young man. I managed to find out a lot of different aspects, like where people lived, how long they lived, all these kinds of things. I found out their occupation. It was really a wonderful experience. So that's inspired me. And I was doing a family tree originally, and inspired me to start writing a book about my family. And I was very much raised in that culture,
Love it.
Southern Italian, but I define myself as an American of Italian descent. So those traditions still are prevalent in my family, and I pass them along to my children. And I'm very proud. And Piccolo was the result of me having done all of that research and applying for the dual citizenship and really digging into different aspects of the culture other than food,
Which we all love.
and I don't see a whole lot of that mainstreamed.
Yes.
And my other goal was to counterbalance in my own small way. This is my voice. The books are my voice. To counterbalance the other, I guess, prevailing image of Italians in the United States. And so I wanted to highlight all the wonderful cultural aspects of it and sort of get back to the root, because my grandfather was American. So it kind of gotten a little distilled down, and I wanted to drill deep into the culture even more so. So I just finished a sequel to Piccolo.
Oh, great.
And
But now we don't have to bring it up because I just saw it the other day. Oh my God, that's so cool. Wow.
I love it. Hey, for those of you who are just listening, Dan is holding up a really cute, I don't want to call it a doll, but a real Piccolo. A Piccolo.
Yeah.
A Piccolo, the character, not the instrument.
Right.
Just in case.
A 3D print of him is about, he's about 9-10 inches tall. Really
That's
cool.
awesome.
Where can we get one of those to give to our daughters?
You contact me and I will hook you up with the very brilliant man who created that for me.
That's awesome.
To me, it's like a miracle.
I got a spot right here that is a little empty.
Okay, we'll see.
I love it.
Yeah.
Make room up here.
He just has to get rid of some of those Dan Gutman books.
Oh, please. Well, if you got a wobbly table, I think,
Oh, yeah, exactly. So I have to admit, though, this was the second book of yours that I read, because I also happened to pick up the Jacques Cousteau book was amazing. I want to talk about that in a second, because I want to stay with Piccolo. So again, as someone who I didn't even, here's how little research I do. I did not even want to read the synopsis of the book in the opening inside cover jacket sleeve thing, but I couldn't help notice that you say Bella Città. How do you pronounce that?
That's it. You got it.
Okay.
Bella Città. Yeah. Very good.
Well, the reason
Bella Città.
When I was in college in New England during the late Cold War, back in the 1900s, one of my best friends did a semester abroad in Florence. And I did a semester in London, and I visited him there. And he always said, Firenze, che bella città. And that's how I know how to pronounce that. And I went and visited him in Florence and just absolutely loved it. So is this Italian? What Italian town is this that Piccolo lives in? Is it based on a real one? Is it just a beautiful Italian city?
It's an amalgam of cities. It only means beautiful city. But I wanted, you'll notice that I kept the Italian phrases and words in the book are very basic.
Yeah.
And that was the point of it, to sort of insert a little bit. And then at the back end pages has the glossary.
Yes.
Yep.
Important things to say, like gelateria, which means ice cream shop.
Absolutely. That's the most important thing I learned in that book.
Well, the sequel will have that as well.
Oh, thank goodness.
Oh, I love it. So if you want to learn Italian, everyone, simply buy Piccolo and the sequel. When is that due to come out, Dan?
Well, the first book came out the end of September. So I'd imagine, given the production schedule, it'll probably come out right around there, late September, early October.
Okay, so this fall
of this year, of 26.
Of this year, this coming. Okay, excellent.
But really, the one thing I wanted to just point out is that the story and the character and all of that Yeah, I just want you to bear in mind that all the cultural aspects of the book that I highlight are a backdrop to the actual story, which is about kindness, empathy, putting someone else's needs before yourself. And the flavor is all the, the architecture and the phrases and, all the different other aspects, the more superficial aspects of it.
But as with a lot of the books we've talked about before, there have to be a lot of different layers so that you can really go through it several times and get something new every time.
A good book, being parents, you'll read books over and over and over again.
Never.
And then at some point, I'd imagine at least one of us will have grandchildren who will read these books to again. And my goal with all of my work, or at least most of my work, is to have the reader grow with the book. So, very young, it's the first layer. And then you get sort of, when you read it years and years later, as an older person, an adult, a parent or a grandparent, it'll have a different meaning, or you'll sort of, discover another aspect to it. And that to me is the mark of a successful book.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well,
Funny.
I know you've listened to at least once every single one of our 30-something episodes in your research for today. But
no, I didn't.
Okay, well, we'll fix that. Oh, I wasn't talking to you, Mike.
Oh,
but, like,
my
for
bad.
example, our very first book was The Giving Tree,
Yes.
which both Mike and I read as kids, and I read it with my kids. But Mike gave me a French version because I speak French, and it was fun to read L'Arbre Généreux, which is allegedly French for the Giving Tree. But with that book in particular, we discovered that it is such a different book when you read it through an adult's eyes.
So much. Yeah.
And yeah, so that was amazing. And the other thing that we like about a lot of the books, especially for really little kids that we've read, and Mike and I talked about this preparing for today, and this is something I found with every single one of your books. I didn't buy your books or know about them when my kids were little, but as I read them now that my kids are 10 years, 12 and 14 years old, I'm realizing I would have loved to have read this to little kids, because you can just read the story, but with your art, there is so much to talk about. You can read it to them 15 times in a row and find something different. They might find something different. And I pray to God that I'm blessed with grandkids, because I cannot wait to read these books to my grandkids.
But not too soon.
And not too soon, because like my oldest.
Not too soon. No.
Yeah.
A long time.
Yeah.
But, time, please.
It is interesting when you revisit certain things.
Yes.
Certain things don't, last. There's a little expiration date. But I always strive with this is something I could say with everything that I do, either, illustration or anything, is that I always strive to make it as timeless as I can. So you see something, Wall Street, if you recall that movie with Michael Douglas.
Oh, yeah.
Good movie, very touching. That era, and you're caught up in the drama, and he pulls out that cell phone that's like
the brick,
hold the antenna up, and he's like, okay, that to me is that kind of hurt the movie a bit for me.
Yes,
I always think about that, and anything in its classic form, or its sort of idealized form, I always go for that rather than, especially with technology, because technology now is changing so rapidly that you're dating it, and it looks outdated even by 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
I try to avoid all as much as I can. So either I'll adopt old classic technology, or in the case of Doug Unplugged behind you, I invented technology.
Yes, a robot kid.
Yeah.
Or also, and in this book, I Am a Story. So you have so many great books, and Mike and I are such busy, important people. There are a few of your books that we both read, but there are a lot of books that he read some and I read some. And I read I Am a Story, and I loved it. It caught my eye when I went to 2 or 3 local libraries and checked out every single book that they have of yours, because search stats. You're welcome.
Well, if I lived in Dallas, I'd be very mad at you, because I couldn't find any at mine. So you probably came up here and checked them all out too.
No, it's simply, Dan, you're a big deal in North Central Texas, where I am in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Thank you.
the librarians at the different libraries here, the Keller Public Library, Grapevine, they were very happy and excited to learn that we were going to be talking with you. But back to I Am a Story. The reason why I picked it, I picked all of your books. I checked all of your books out. But this one, just the title alone, I Am a Story. And I love storytelling. I was a professional actor, writer, what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And there's just this it goes through the history of storytelling from the very dawn of human life. And it was the way you depicted it was great. And I just loved, I'm like, oh, I remember those PCs. You had radio, you had television, you had film. I went to a Catholic school taught by Cistercian monks. So when you had your monk, doing his, and then of course Gutenberg is next. The history of storytelling, and it was really cool. It was, but again, so many details that you can share with little kids. And now that I'm on this book, I have to bring up one more thing. There's a cute little red bird that is on every single spread in this book, and including the cover.
Yep,
he's right there, and I noticed it pretty quickly. So, spoiler alert: there's a little red bird in every page. Dan, tell me about that bird. Is there a significance there? Now, if it's a major character in one of your books that I haven't read, I'll be very embarrassed. But tell us about the red bird.
No. The red bird just appears in that book. But I know what my answer is. I'm very curious as to what you guys think that is.
Well,
there's a lot of interpretation to what the bird is that through history.
I will not start this because I didn't read this story.
Oh, okay.
That one. I didn't read that one.
I was hoping you'd do that for me, Mike.
No, sorry. Sorry, David.
For me, I didn't.
I've got some other ones. Go ahead.
Okay. I did not, and when we're done, Mike, we'll get to a book that you read, but I didn't attach too much meaning, except that it's just, he's always there. He's watching through history. There's a common thread that keeps people together besides storytelling. And in the case of this book, this bird is a common thread that keeps people of all civilizations and ages together.
That's it.
What?
The spirit of storytelling and the need for us to tell stories throughout time. And that's what the bird really is. But if you'll notice another aspect that I don't think really any reviewer picked up on, but you'll see that in the very beginning, the people around the campfire, they're talking about the stars and they're trying to make sense of the universe. And that to me is the theme. I wrote it. So that is the theme of the book, is trying to put into words or sort of performing or something visual, this kind of ineffable aspect of our existence. And so I thought, focus on the constellations and the stars. We try to, explain them using the horoscope symbols and different things like this, trying to grasp that and bring it down to, a point where, we can speak it or show it in some way. And you'll see that aspect is throughout the entire story. So there's either stars, there's moons, there's constellations, there's horoscope symbols throughout the whole book. And they're interpreting them all in, the current, whatever that image is depicting, what era that's depicting.
Yeah.
So most of the images, all the images have the bird. And when I was able to reasonably put in the constellations, things like that, in the images, so that was my little subtext.
Well, I love
That's really cool.
One of the great things about Greek mythology, for example, so many of us were raised on it, including I loved it. I used the Ingrid and Edgar Dallaire pastel books of the Greek myths that I grew up reading.
I remember those.
Do you? I love that. So it was on my daughter's reading list at the little Catholic school she went to. So I gave her my copy. That got her into Greek mythology, which got her into Percy Jackson. And she loves Percy Jackson. And that's the book we covered on her episode on our podcast. But what I told her once, and this is one of my favorite moments recently, I said, you know what? She read the Odyssey, and I listened
to. You read
the
Odyssey?
Yeah.
I read that in college.
She graduated from.
I got through a couple of pages.
This is my hashtag proud papa moment. She's a freshman now. So last spring she said, "Daddy, can I get a copy of the Odyssey?" and she was listening to a musical called Epic, the musical, and it is a musical on YouTube only, fully produced, but audio only of the Odyssey, and it's brilliant. That's what got her into it. Yeah, that's what got her into it. And I'll try to make this quick. Two things. One, she wanted to go check out a copy of the Odyssey, or not check out. She wanted to buy one. So I said,
Sure.
"Oh, okay." And when your daughter says, "Can we go to a bookstore?" You go now. You strike while the iron is hot before the mind changes. So we went to our local bookstore. It's here in Keller, Texas, called A House with Books. It is a wonderful, very small independent bookstore. We walk in and we say, "Hey," actually, I made her say it. "Do you have a copy of the Odyssey?" And she goes, "Oh, you mean the blah, blah, blah translation that just came out last week?" And we were like, "Yes, that is exactly what we mean. We did research." Turns out there's a very recent translation. And then we said, "Just kidding. What does that mean?" And she said, "It's a translation that really tries to get back to the original meaning and story." And Delaney said, "Yes, please." And then she also read it. She read the whole thing. But in talking to her about it, and this goes back to what you did in I Am a Story, I learned more about Greek mythology and all of that. And I said, man, they lived in a very tough world, because so much of their mythology, especially in the Odyssey, is about how do you deal with death and horror and natural disasters and all these things. And when I saw your horoscopes and things, you're right. A lot of very early storytelling is people trying to explain the world around them and comfort each other. And it's neat that you captured that and thought of that in this wonderful book.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Absolutely.
what I love about your books is what you said you wanted to do. Your stories, with no exceptions of the books I checked out, your stories are really, really good. And the art, I love your art. Before I let you talk about a book, Mike, I want to say one more thing.
That is
Dan,
totally fine.
My discovery moment of you, before I read any of your books, I went to the libraries and checked them all out. But I also learned from your friend Dan Gutman and the Grapevine Public Library. I checked out all the My Weird School books and all the other series, and the librarian said, he writes biographies also. I said, really? And that was important because they're in a different section.
Right.
And so I went and found his book about Amelia Earhart. But I thought, you know what? I'm smart. And I went to the same section and I saw a book about Jacques Cousteau. And I checked that one out. And I really need to get my copy of it. Sorry. And this is the first book of yours that I opened because I thought, I love Jacques Cousteau. And I flipped through it. Okay. And this is the very first illustration of yours that I ever saw. And it was amazing because you've got a teeny tiny diver and this giant, huge cloud of yellow bubbles under the sea. And I literally saw this and thought, okay, this is going to be good. This meaning the book, this meaning the other books, and this meaning this conversation. I fell in love with your art. But the idea of having a little teeny tiny person who's right there, and it shows the vastness of the ocean, but the vastness of his bubbles. It was such a great book. And I'll let Mike talk about one of your books, but I learned so much more about Jacques Cousteau by reading this. And as a good Catholic school alum and parent, you have a great bibliography in the back of his important dates and some further reading and all of that. And it was just fantastic. So I'm done talking about your books until I do it again. Go.
I kind of felt that there was a big gap in knowing who he was from when I was growing up watching the show that I'm fascinated with. And it had underwater photography, which was not that common.
No.
He invented, see from the book, he invented
he invented so much of that technology.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Totally quotable. That's why there's a quote on every image of that book. He was and he's written books, encyclopedias. He's made.
I knew none of that. You're the one that taught. I knew he was like the French Undersea guy.
That's pretty much what I knew too.
When we were kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I felt like kids should know. I mean, I know that it is kind of absorbed into our culture and our entertainment. It's no longer this, mind-blowing experience of going along with him, on his show from, I guess, the 70s. But I felt like people should know who he was. And it was an excuse for me to read a whole bunch of, books about him, written by him, watch the old show online. And that's what I try to do. I try to create books about things that I'm already interested in. You know, there's a way that some people look at creating books or anything in sort of this kind of creative mode is I have to look at the market and figure out what's popular, and then I'll do that. But if I were to do something, you know, about a subject that I have little to no interest in, first of all, it'll be torture for me to do the book. I'll be very unhappy. And second of all, it's really going to come through in the finished work. You're going to know that I really didn't enjoy this. So Cousteau, as an example, as well as storytelling and different things like that, I'm passionate about that. So that's why I sunk so much time, effort, and energy into those books. And there's a lot of sketches that never made it into it. There's a lot of drafts that, you know, those books go through many, many drafts before, you know, myself and the editor are happy enough to have me move forward with the illustration work, because you have to wait till you figure out the text first. But I loved him. I met his grandson once.
Oh, wow.
Oh, neat.
Exciting. I had a copy of the way. I'm like, can I have your autograph? And he pulled out his book. And can I have your autograph? Get out of here.
So y'all were doing the fan thing.
That's hilarious.
It was very sweet.
Awesome.
Nice. Yeah, nice guy.
That is so cool.
And so it's just things that I like. You know, as another example, Piccolo. You know, it's my culture that I grew up in. I'm passionate about it. And that's why there's so much, you know, work in that book. Also, I really love drawing little architectural things. I find
that must have been so much fun.
Yeah.
It was great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I think it comes through in the books.
Absolutely. And I'm going to take a step back, because usually when we start the show, we talk a little bit about how we got into the book. Was it something we read to our kids? Was it something David read that I didn't? Or was it just something that happened to be on the floor and I looked over and saw Danny's Doodles? Oh, we'll read that. It's in my house. Somebody read it. But the story behind this is that we had this interview with Dan Gutman, and about this far into the interview, he stops and he goes, "You know who you look like?" And I'm like, well, I have, there's 2 or 3 that people mention. And I said, but interested to know who you think. And he said, you look like my friend Dan Yaccarino. I just had dinner with him last night.
Okay, Mike, take your glasses off so that our audience can decide. Oh my gosh, there's 2 Dans. What happened? Where's Mike?
Could be. We could be brothers.
Well, when I'm not available for some, you know, sort of public event, I'll give you a call. You could.
Perfect. It'll be like Dave. Remember that movie?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the movie.
That was great.
It's David, not Dave.
Oh, sorry, Davey. So anyway, so he said that, and I was like, the name sounds familiar, but I don't know who that is. So then we finished the interview, and almost immediately I went and looked you up. I was like, I have to know who this guy, I have to know if you really kind of look like me, whatever. Okay, so I looked you up and I saw some art and I was like, man, that looks so familiar. And I thought for a second, I was like, that art looks just like An Octopus Followed Me Home.
Oh boy.
An Octopus Followed Me Home, which I own. And I walked down the stairs to these bookshelves. And I picked it up and looked, and I was like, I do know Dan Yaccarino. This is so exciting.
Cool.
But I love that book so much, and something that's in there that is just in a lot of your stories is, as you were saying, you love to draw those little details. The mid-century modern stuff, if you didn't notice with my shirt here, I'm very into mid-century modern. So I was totally attracted to your artwork in the beginning, but then I started reading some of the stories, obviously for this, but I was like, man, these are really, really awesome. This one, City Under the City. Yep. City Under the City is amazing. That's a great one. All of them are great. I'm kind of like can't think of all of the titles because I'm so excited.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Dan, did you ever read David McCulley's books like Castle and Pyramid and?
Probably at some point, but
Okay.
I certainly know who he is. So.
Okay, just he did
Yeah.
a book called
Yeah.
Underground that we covered on our show. So,
Okay.
but you didn't know that. So, Mike, please go on.
I forget where I was going though, which happens often.
Well, I went full blown mid century modern in one book that I didn't write it, but I illustrated it. Came out a few years ago, which is part of a series. First one I did was the one with the mid century called 1-2 Grandma Loves You. Grandma, it's got a little kid who visits her grandmother, but grandma has a whole house of totally mod furniture.
Shag.
And Eames chairs, and she even has this portrait sort of in the background of as if Warhol did, a portrait of her in the different combinations of colors.
And you really wanted to put that into TV, so you made Willa's Wildlife.
That's it. And Willa's Wildlife is actually based on An Octopus Followed Me Home.
Yes. I drew those connections.
Yeah.
Is Oswald also related to An Octopus Followed Me Home? No. Okay.
Totally different octopus.
Dan.